in a dry household. I'm not talking about the desert. I'm talking about alcohol. My parents never drank. If my mom had lived in the 1920s, she would have been a staunch prohibitionist. There's a cupboard in my parents' house that I guess you could call a liquor cabinet. It's filled with 30-year-old bottles of alcohol that get broken out once a year for the annual family Hanukkah party because my great aunt needs her glass of Bushmills on the rocks. Otherwise, alcohol was never really on my radar growing up, and certainly drugs weren't either. I had managed to avoid them both in college by being an antisocial weirdo who never left her dorm room. It wasn't until I moved out to LA from suburban Connecticut that I even realized going out for a drink with friends was a thing people did. So it came as a complete shock that my first job out of college was writing for potnetwork.tv. A guy I used to intern for called me up one day and told me he had a gig for me, writing. It paid $2,500 a month, tax-free, because this whole thing was under the table. I needed a job, and $2,500 sounded pretty good to me. I mean, with that kind of money, I could pay my rent and buy groceries. It wasn't until I showed up for my first day of work that I found out what I would be writing for. I knew nothing about pot, but suddenly I was the head only writer for the Marijuana News Show. In a short time, I became an expert on the ganja. I had to be. Potnetwork.tv was the CNN of the marijuana industry. That's actually what it said on the website. The guy running the show, Jeb, not his real name, was a total stoner stereotype. From his hey brother introductions to his penchant for getting blackout drunk every night to his lax approach to business management and finance, he was exactly the type of person you would expect to try to make money off the emerging cannabis industry. One of the things I had to do for the job was attend HempCon for research purposes, which, if I had any interest in smoking weed or edibles, might have been fun. HempCon, for those not in the know, is a convention for marijuana enthusiasts. Think Comic-Con, only swap nerds for burnouts. The people who attend HempCon are the type prone to leaving comments on Facebook about potnetwork.tv videos to the tune of, "This is a joke like the entire internet." What, like God I sold? What, like anyone thinks the internet is a good thing? Okay, Al Gore, joke! I had to drive 2 hours to San Bernardino with the show's assistant to get to HempCon. On the way there, we stopped for lunch. That was the first time I ever went to a Subway. There are a lot of things that happened at this job I'll never do again. The convention itself was not at all what I was expecting. It was actually rather boring. I had to listen to a painfully long talk from a lawyer on the best ways to keep cannabis grow houses above board. Legalese does not get more stimulating just because you're talking about dope. Maybe it would if you were puffing the dragon, like I'm assuming that woman wearing nothing but a green bikini bottom and painted on pot leaves covering her assets. She seemed to be enjoying herself. All I came away with was a make-your-own alcohol kit, which I pawned off on the show's assistant because what was I supposed to do with it? Try to turn the alcohol back into water? Honestly, this wasn't a bad gig. My lunches were paid for. I only had to work 4 days a week. That is when Jeb remembered to bring the keys to the office, and I got to roll in at about noon, a call time for which I arrived promptly, and then sat around waiting for everyone else to show up, still in their smoky stupor. Basically, I just hung out with some interesting people a few hours a day. People with life experiences completely foreign to me that they wanted to share. One time, they took me to a bar that had turtle racing. Wonders. When work actually did get done, I was writing about pot penny stocks. You guys all know what penny stocks are. I mean, we've all seen Wolf of Wall Street. They're stocks that cost a penny, sometimes more or less. They're cheap to buy. They have the potential for a huge return, but come with great risk. Well, marijuana penny penny stocks are the same thing, only the primary goal is the production, sale, and general proliferation of grass, which is still on the fence, legally speaking, so they are even more volatile than your typical penny stock. The intended financiers of the show were the same people who owned the reefer businesses. I guess there was supposed to be a mutual back-scratching situation going on, a stoner Ponzi scheme, if you will. And just as you'd expect, from a stoner Ponzi scheme, everything came crashing down. The SEC, under suspicion of fraud, was halting most of the pot stocks. Every story that came in was about how the owners of the marijuana companies were skimming off the top and screwing over their investors. Needless to say, after the videos detailing their exploits aired, the potential investors weren't exactly in the giving mood. Unless what they were giving were death threats. PotNetwork.tv stock plunged and the whole production went bust after all of about 3 weeks. It would have been fine if I had gotten paid, but Jeb's checks bounced. My mom might have been right about prohibition.